mature language, and adult discussions. You have been warned.
Welcome to the store.
Hello and welcome to the Video Store Clerks Podcast, episode 50. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for listening. We are your clerks for tonight. I'm Dave.
Chad, man.
I'm Mike.
I'm amazed. I'm Chuck.
Bam.
Now, wait a minute. I'm a little confused because I didn't realize this was Ted Nugent night.
I forgot my hairpiece.
I was
Me
either
too,
going
yeah.
for Brett Michaels or Shawn Michaels.
One of the Michaels.
One of the Michaels.
Still don't know why, but
Brian
it was
Bosworth
good.
knows.
Like I said, I haven't had hair this long in 20 years, and I don't know. I might make a change. But once again, welcome. Oh my gosh, gentlemen, do you believe it? Do you believe how fast time flies? This is episode 50 of the Video Store Clerks Podcast. We have come such a long way in such a short amount of time. Do a shot, take a drink. I got my Mountain Dew. I got my Mountain Dew. I got my Mountain Dew for you.
What the fuck? How is this a thing? We didn't even choreo. We didn't.
Wow.
Look at that.
Sponsor us.
Hey,
This was not pre-planned.
it wasn't. Well,
Thank
hey,
you to our sponsor for the show, Mountain Dew.
It's smart. Can we get a lot of that
Do the
too?
Dew.
Oh my God, Shutter and Mountain Dew need to sponsor us.
Shutter Mountain Dew and
I
Bismarck.
want to get a shout out to Monkey Shoulder.
The monkey. I don't know what that is, but that sounds amazing.
Some good ass
Fucking
scotch.
monkey.
Fuck yeah. We haven't scotch in a while.
Shoulder.
That's all I drink. Tequila and scotch.
Scotchy,
Well,
scotch.
And some other things, but
But it's so good to see everybody. We're so happy to be here. This is going to be a fun night. Since it's our 50th episode, again, do you believe how fast time flies? Because coming up soon in a couple months, it'll be the 50th anniversary of the film we are going to dive into tonight. One of the most influential films, not only of the 20th century, but probably of all time. Star Wars, Street Fighter, Mortal Kombat, Karate Kid, you name it, they all trace back. Some legendary directors, including Quentin Tarantino, directly reference this movie as influencing their entire career. We are talking about the Bruce Lee classic, Bruce Lee's last film, Enter the Dragon.
Yeah.
And Chuck has found his VHS copy, or was that a DVD?
DVD.
Oh,
I couldn't find my VHS copy, but I got the DVD.
Oh, okay. That's what. But
You
we
want me
will
to-
dive into that here in just a second. But first, we will start the show as we normally do with the news.
Ugh.
Still stinks.
fucking Mike.
Whew.
And some unfortunate news that just broke, actually just a few hours ago before we started recording tonight. Legendary guitarist Jeff Beck passed away at 78 years young. He is often regarded by the entire music industry and his peers as one of the greatest of all time. Chuck, I'm sure you have some thoughts on this.
The dude could literally make his guitar sing. Like I just the way he played. I mean, he didn't play the pick. He played with his thumb. Well, he played with his fingers, but usually it was his thumb was his main finger that he used to strum. The guy was just fucking amazing, man. I mean, he so many good albums that he's put out throughout the years, collaborations he's done with people. Definitely a guitar god. It's kind of blew my fucking mind today. Like seriously, I realized the guy was old, but he's been doing interviews and all kinds of shit. The next thing I know, it's like, oh well, Jeff Beck's gone, and I'm like, well, no. Why do we always have these legends die at the beginning of years? It scares the fuck out of me. I hate it. But yeah, Jeff Beck was amazing. Rest in peace, man. Jesus fucking Christ.
Yes.
Let's shout out the benchmark for old Beck.
Yep. Another legend gone.
Merry New Year.
Oh, Merry New Year to you.
Ah.
Merry New Year.
Or whatever you celebrate these
Beef
days.
jerky time.
We had
The-
beef jerky earlier.
we did, actually. It was delicious.
Beef jerky time.
The weekend box office was pretty much the same as it was last weekend. Avatar, Megan, and Puss in Boots. The Golden Globes were recently, and our boy, Kiwi Kwan, a.k.a. Data, a.k.a. Short Round, won for Best Supporting Actor for the outstanding film Everything Everywhere All at Once. If you have not seen this film, your clerk strongly suggests you check it out.
Do it.
It is
I
bonkers.
still haven't watched it.
It's a family drama. It's science fiction. It's action. It's martial arts. It's Everything Everywhere All at Once. But nothing really especially exciting happened at the Golden Globes. But I do encourage you to check out Mr. Kwan's acceptance speech, as it'll probably break you. It was quite emotional, actually. Other than that, no real highlights from the night. This is starting to be a recurring segment in our news portion of the show. You remember the movie White Men Can't Jump?
Yeah.
Of course.
Guess what? This year, in fact, the remake should be coming out. It's already been filmed. They're in the final stages.
Wait, let me guess. It's starring Kevin Hart and The Rock.
That would be funny, actually. I don't know who. I don't know who's in it. I don't care.
And The Rock will be the white guy.
I was perfectly happy with the Wesley Snipes, Woody Harrelson 1992 classic.
Yeah.
Can we just leave stuff alone?
You ever
Well,
seen the porn
no.
parody on that. It was called "Do the White Thing." It was exactly what you think it was.
Chuck spends time in our other
Fantastic.
section of the store.
Yes,
That's what you do in your breaks, huh, Chuck? You go in the back room.
Who's behind the
Hey,
curtain?
you know me.
Well, that's
Anyway.
happening this year. Oh gosh, our hometown boy William H. Macy is been recently cast in the Planet of the Apes sequel, and it just rolls off the tongue. Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes.
Kingdom's a good word. I don't really give a fuck about the Planet of the Apes movie, but if you put kingdom in front of something, I'm like, you know what? That's kind of cool. You put like Kingdom of the Angry Prepubescent Children, and it's like, you know what? It's the kingdom of. It's got to be something horrible, because I mean, prepubescent children is horrible too. They're horrible bastards. But yeah, Kingdom sounds good.
That's what
Oh,
we're gonna
just-
call our band, baby. Kingdom of the Rock and Roll.
Oh God, I was gonna say there's already a band called Kingdom, and they suck. They suck a lot. Like Camelot, like they suck so bad.
The old
I
music
don't
store?
know. No, just the band Camelot. They suck too, but they're just, yeah, bad.
Also in the land of the remakes, the Fantastic Four remake. Adam Driver is now the front runner to play Mr. Fantastic, as for the last couple years, every couple months there's a new front runner to play this part, and now it is Adam Driver.
Yeah.
I guess we'll see. And also, I guess this will be another part of the news portion of our show, WTF News. It could only be one story, and that is the drama unfolding between Vince McMahon and the WWE.
Oh my God, what the fuck was that about? Holy
Okay.
shit!
So,
That was something else I had to fucking like look at. I opened up fucking Facebook today.
what the fuck is going on? So,
Yeah, my childhood and everything just going around the fucking window.
so last night, one tweet set a wildfire across all of the internet that said that Saudi Arabia media company that they've been working with for the last couple years has purchased WWE. As of this recording earlier this afternoon, that tweet has been deleted and the story has been backtracked, saying that it in fact has not happened yet. But Stephanie McMahon has now resigned twice this year. The stock price went up when Vince left, and the stock price has gone up again since he basically bullied his fucking ass back into the company. He like
He's
spent
got
the
majority
last
shareholder.
couple months like he basically sat at home and plotted how to take back over his own company. And it was so weird because every day I'll go watch old school wrestling from like the 80s and early 90s on the Peacock. And it was so weird because I was just watching stuff from 1991. Remember when the whole Sergeant Slaughter, Hulk Hogan?
Oh yeah, man.
Storm?
Yeah, I do remember that shit, dude.
Like I was just watching that, and it's just so fucking weird.
Man, like I haven't been caught up with the WWE, which we all remember it as what it was originally, WWF, until those fucking assholes came in and bitched and whined too much.
The only one to beat Vince in the courtroom.
Yeah, it's fucking stupid. Yeah, that's kind of, well, I don't know. Kind of yes, no. Like I don't know. Like I was a big fan of wrestling, you know, from the late 80s, 90s, 2000s, you know, the Attitude Era was where I really stopped. But man, you know, even though I don't really keep up with a lot of the new shit these days, it's kind of a fucking stab in the asshole, isn't it? Like, I mean, like, come on. Like, okay, like, look, there's people who have been fans for years, and a lot of them watch wrestling. They watch, you know, Raw and shit like that. Why? Because they've done it every fucking Monday for so many years. And I know a lot of people who watch it, and they're like, I don't really care anymore. I just always watch it. So that's my thing on Monday nights. So it's like, okay, put another reason for nobody to want to watch your show. Like, I don't know. Like that whole fucking thing is all stupid. Doesn't really shock me, honestly. But I don't know. AEW is where it's at.
Sure. That's
where I've come to realize WWE is dead. And AEW is where a lot of the good ones are coming from, all that shit. So yeah.
I will say that in the last 24 hours, the drama that has been on Twitter and Reddit has probably been more entertaining than the actual shows.
Probably. Well, the thing I was saying earlier to a buddy of mine was that I feel like Vince is kind of working the gimmick here where they didn't come out and say that they had anything to do with Saudi Arabia or they were making a deal with Saudi Arabia, but they didn't deny it either. So I feel like they kind of leaked that to the sheets, and they're trying to stir up a little bit of controversy to see if NBC or Disney might get into a bidding war.
Yeah.
Because, you know, obviously that whole idea has gone away since last night. And they like I said, they haven't denied it. So we'll see.
I don't know. I don't think anyone knows what's really going on besides a couple people on the inside, and it's going to be interesting. It'll be interesting.
It's going to be fucking bullocks.
A couple of lawsuits have been filed against Vince. Again, you're not going to beat Vince McMahon in the courtroom. I don't know why they're bothering, but they are. The other part of that was that the company will go private again, which would be good. But oh man, this I don't know what's going on in this fucking world.
When it comes to Vince McMahon, dude, like, look, there's a lot of people who like fucking hate him right now. But the thing is, you can't really hate the guy. The guy has been responsible for some of our entertainment for years. I mean, Undertaker, like, why do you think he became the Phenom? Vince was the one that fucking did that shit. He was like, I mean, dude, he was like a fucking father to him, you know? And, you know, there was a time period where wrestling was fun. It wasn't just all this fucking drama. You know, it was a little bit of drama. You know, you'd have like, you know, Macho Man get mad because of like, you know, his woman and shit. And you'd have like there wasn't really like it became, because like when Stone Cold and The Rock and all them like kind of like went away and the new school came in, it was just like, what are you doing? Like what exactly? Who are you? Who's writing for you? Like, you some of the characters and shit. Out? Yeah.
You know, I love wrestling more than anybody, but I'm gonna have to stick a pin in this whole conversation because we'll go on.
Dude,
till
it's
next
true.
week
It's
talking about
fucking
this.
true. Because
So
I'm over here like, yeah.
We
I
got
was just thinking about it.
Yeah, we got to stick a fork in this one. Believe me, I would love to go into detail.
So thank you, Mike. Thank you, Mike.
But it's
Because
time.
We actually timed our segments pretty well. We're
We will
15
have to
minutes
have
in.
a
So
WWE
let's,
wrestling.
the time
or
has
any
come.
Wrestling episode.
yes.
Stay tuned for video stores after Video Store Clerks After Dark, where we get into any. No,
That's great.
we should.
That's a great
We
idea.
should do one.
Started
That
tonight.
would be good.
But here and now, let's get into it. Let's get into our main course, if you will. We're talking about the Bruce Lee classic, the one, the only, Enter the Dragon. And this, ladies and gentlemen, came back way back in 1973. It was released, I think, a month after he passed away.
6 weeks.
6 weeks exactly.
Yep.
Again, 50th anniversary. It's crazy. One could argue that Enter the Dragon did for action movies what Star Wars did for science fiction. And if you made that argument, you would be right.
And it was the first American-produced martial arts film.
It also implemented like spy James Bond elements into a martial arts film, which seems like a duh statement now because obviously there's been so many since then, and it seems like they go together like peanut butter and jelly. But back then, it was never really done before. And it was a huge hit. By today's standards, I think it would have made $2 billion worldwide. I think it said.
It only had an $850,000 budget.
Yep.
Also stars the great John Saxon,
John Saxon.
who
R.I.P.
just recently passed away
Yes.
back in 2020. And he worked all the way up till 2010. His last movie, coincidentally, was the still unreleased Bring Me the Head of Lance Hendrickson film, which still hasn't come out yet.
Huh?
Yeah, swear.
Uh-oh.
Huh?
What
is this movie? What is this atrocity?
It was from the
I don't-
description. It sounded like it was in the likes of that Nick Cage movie that came out last year. The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent. It sounds like it was kind of supposed to be something like that, but they did this movie like way back in 2010, and it just never came out for some reason. I would want to, if we ever get Lance on the show, at Lance Hendrickson, I would love to ask him whatever became of this movie and why it never came out.
That's the next episode Chuck will cry on.
Very
Oh
well.
God!
One
Shut
day
the
we're going to
fuck up.
surprise him. One
You're
day
right.
we're going to surprise him.
God, you do that shit. I'm not even know how to fucking like act.
It's like, are you doing a dice act, sir?
Oh,
So there you have. I actually haven't sat and watched this movie in a long, long time, and gosh, I think the last time I saw it was on cable TV. But it was so fun to go back and watch. It's really hard to have a serious conversation. Look at how I'm looking, but I'm trying.
like Chad's works. It looks like it's him. I forget he's bald. You, I mean,
That's
it
ridiculous.
fits. It fits these days. Go on.
Every rose has.
Just go.
I was thinking
Anyway.
of another song like "Merry Christmas." Oh, sorry.
I'm having fun. This is episode 50. There's nowhere to go but up.
Anyway,
So gentlemen, actually, Chuck has a description of the film. If you like.
I do. Let's see. All right, the back of the box here. All right, so here. Decades following his untimely death, Bruce Lee remains the movie's supreme martial arts star. His masterful final film, Enter the Dragon, stands the test of time as the most beloved martial arts epic in film history. This box office hit takes lead of the island fortress of criminal warlord Han, whose martial arts academy covers up opium smuggling and prostitution activities. I mean, whatever. To avenge the death of his sister, Lee infiltrates the stronghold and enters Han's brutal tournament, a breathtaking visual feast of competitions fusing skills in karate, judo, taekwondo, tai chi, some other shit I can't pronounce, staged by Lee himself. What a kick. There you go.
Yeah. Pun intended.
And it's just unbelievable.
Yeah.
I mean, if you ever want to know why things are the way they are today, you have to go back and look at the history. And this film is landmark in history as bringing forth some of the, franchises like Street Fighter, Mortal Kombat, Ninja Turtles, Karate Kid, Star Wars. I even saw elements of Star Wars where Han kind of reminded me of the Emperor, and the Great Bolo was a bit of a Darth Vader type.
Right.
Big Trouble in Little China. You freaking name it. Everyone can go back, trace their careers back to this one film that has been put in the Library of Congress, so it will live on forever.
Hell yeah.
It even had Jackie Chan in it and Sammo Hung.
Jackie Chan's in it?
A very young Jackie Chan.
He was like 22.
Who was he in the movie?
He
wasn't a main
henchman. Yeah, he was just.
Okay.
Yeah, he didn't have a big part.
So he was like Jean-Claude Van Damme and like
Bruce Lee broke his neck when they were downstairs in like the dungeon.
Oh, okay. All right. I didn't realize that. All right.
Yeah.
No, Enter the Dragon is. I mean, it's like you all know. I'm not a huge kung fu guy. I'm not really. Now granted, us doing like the action movies we talked about, whatever, is kind of sent me into like a childhood phase where I'm just like, ooh, explosions and people getting kicked in the face. But Enter the Dragon's always been one that like it's so much fun to watch. I haven't watched this movie 15, 20 years, and I watched it twice in the last 2 days, and it's just so much fun. I mean, it really is. Bruce Lee being the way he was anyway, kind of a cocky bastard. Like, you had the scene where he's getting ready to break into that one place, and the guy, like, he puts the snake in there, and the guy's fucking diving out the window, and he's just kind of there just going, okay, ready to go, like, whatever. Yeah, it's such a good fucking action film. It's funny at certain moments, but it's also creepy. Like, the funny part, so is like when he keeps smacking that kid in the head over and over again. Like, he was actually smacking that kid in the head over and over again. There was something about that scene. I can't really remember what the story was with that, but like that kid was like somebody who he was training anyway or something or whatever. I don't remember. So don't quote me on that. But it is it's kind of it's the ultimate karate movie.
Yes, and the iconic lines, fighting without fighting, boards don't hit back. It's been parodied a million times. Everything from the Kentucky Fried Movie to sketches in Living Color. Still to
Enter the Fat Dragon.
Which I still don't know what you're talking about.
He had no idea.
Family Matters.
What?
Remember that?
I don't.
Remember that? Nobody watched Family Matters growing up?
Yeah.
Nobody?
Yeah. I don't remember that.
Do you remember when Urkel would change into Bruce Lee?
No. Oh, what was his name when he would change? When he go into that machine and change?
He was Bruce Lee. He was Bruce Wee. Bruce Wee.
I don't remember that.
That would actually probably have issues these days, but yeah, it was horrible. I used to get so pissed off. I'm like, what? What is it? What? He's Bruce Lee now. No. He was already that fucking. He was like the cool guy. So the cool guy turns into Bruce Lee.
This was only the actual the second movie that Bruce Lee actually dubbed in his own voice. Was this in another movie he did in like '66 named Marlowe?
That's that one.
This film was designed, in my opinion, to make Bruce Lee an international superstar. Mm-hmm. And because just from start to finish, his talent and everything is on full display, and it's just one thing after another that just puts him over with the audience, especially an American audience at the time that wasn't too familiar with Kung Fu. And it does the job.
Yeah.
No question.
Oh, yeah, man.
Yeah, there's no doubt he would have been a franchise star after this. I mean, even though I don't really see Bruce Lee getting along too well with this new Hollywood system that we're a part of. I see him telling a lot of people to go, a lot of executives and board members to go fuck themselves.
Yeah.
Right.
But I don't know.
Honestly, I feel like
he'd be like, what, 70 something, 75?
He'd still be working.
He was, what, 32 when he died? So 50 years, 82, right?
80. Yeah, okay.
He'd still
somewhere
be
there.
working.
So he's about the same age as Bolo.
He died with zero fat on his body, by the way.
But
Which
I mean,
is fucking ridiculous.
He would definitely go on to do a lot more films. I feel like if Bruce Lee would have lived, he would have been a huge influence in the MMA community. He might have been even one of the founding fathers of UFC and stuff like that.
Right.
So, yeah, no doubt. I agree with that. Yeah.
Mhm.
I think
he
honestly,
paved the way for all those guys.
Be hanging with the
probably
Gracies.
would've added.
Oh yeah,
He probably would have added some other elements to what we have now too. Also,
Who even knows? That's crazy to think. You'll drive yourself crazy thinking about it.
like it's. Did you ever see Dragon? The
Yeah.
Bruce Lee story movie.
Yeah, we were just talking about that actually.
Not that bad of a movie actually. Like I don't know. I think that if because the deaths already are always kind of a mystery. Him and Brandon, both of them. But yeah, man, thinking about all the shit that like could have been out if he didn't die. Like that's the fucked up thing when somebody like him dies, because Zero found in his body was healthier than any of us could ever imagine. And then he fucking basically has an aneurysm and dies. Like, isn't that what happened to him? Like he had an aneurysm or some shit.
There's,
like he took some medicine.
numerous different stories.
We were debating.
Nothing was ever really
as to-
said exactly like how
as
he
to
actually
whether or
died.
not we should go down that rabbit hole.
I don't know the facts. I don't really want to talk about it.
I'm a very paranoid
According-
person. I think Princess Diana was a hit. So
Like I've heard like 5 or
Gotta
6
do.
different stories based on Bruce Lee about how he passed away. And
the actor
Blondie.
that played Han in Enter the Dragon was actually a good friend of Bruce Lee's father, and had worked with Bruce Lee whenever he was a young boy on films. And he had said that his sister had heard from his sister directly that Bruce had a spine injury years before that, and there had been some type of infection that caused the cerebral anemia to happen. So that was the story from him. That makes more
that
sense.
sounds
than-
plausible. Like I mean,
I don't
sounds
think
better
anybody.
than like the overdose thing or him getting killed
No.
by the triads because he beat the hell out of the one triad dude on the set on Enter the Dragon, and
No, that's
Did you-
bullshit.
there's
I
all
think.
kinds of weird stories.
There was a movie that came out actually like back in like the 70s. That was like it was basically a Bruce Lee story kind of thing. It was really weird, but like it showed like a whole thing like he asked for like basically Tylenol, and then he goes to sleep and never woke up. Like,
Yes, I heard that too. I heard it was a Percocet, but
It was something. I can't. It was something like that. It was some kind of.
But I mean,
medication.
But on the other hand, I know maybe we got lucky because there was not too long ago there was some letters that had turned up at a flea market, I believe, from Bruce Lee to Robert Baker. But Robert Baker was his drug dealer at the time. So, I mean, I hate to think that, but I mean, maybe Bruce would have ended up being a drug addict. Maybe he would have been disgraced. It's hard to say. Because especially back in the 70s. The drug culture was huge back then, and especially in Hollywood. So who knows what happened? But hopefully, that wouldn't have been the case. But it seems like that was an actual part of his life. He had mistresses. There's all kinds of different things. He was flawed just like anybody else.
Oh yeah.
But there a lot of detail comes from the Matthew Polly book, Bruce Lee: A Life, which is one of the foremost biographies on Bruce Lee. So if you ever get a chance to check that out, it's definitely worth reading. But who knows?
Yeah, Bruce Lee had there were some people that said that like he was like the nicest guy, and then there was a lot of people that said that he was kind of an asshole.
Right.
Like,
and that especially
what
I was going to say that especially came to the forefront recently with the Quentin Tarantino film Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, where that controversy from the scene in that film where the actor was depicting Bruce Lee caused a big stir.
Mm-hmm. And Brad Pitt's character fucking took him down pretty goddamn quick.
Yeah.
Well, Bruce Lee, Bruce Lee was a cocky bastard. He was. You watch video clips of him when he's just talking interviews, when he's like, close to me in the ring.
Thanks, buddy.
That kind of thing. Like, he always kind of came off kind of, which I mean, the guy knew that he was a weapon just as himself, Like he knew like it was going to take a lot to fucking like take him down. You know, that wasn't a gun. You know.
I mean, when you go back and look, this is like the late '60s, early '70s, and it was a different time. You know, people, Asian Americans weren't looked at the way they are today. You know, it was just a different world back then. So I feel like that, Bruce probably had a little bit of a chip on his shoulder. He had a lot to prove, especially trying to break into Hollywood. And I feel like the Tarantino depiction has its roots based in, whenever they said, whenever he was working on the Green Hornet, that he would end up tagging, which means he would hit the stuntmen.
Yeah.
And it caused the stuntman to kind of have this negative feeling towards him. They were saying that they
all picked on him all the fucking time.
I don't know if they picked on him, but they didn't. They were kind of pissed off at him that he was doing this, taking liberties with those guys.
My dad got me into Green Hornet when I was a kid, so I used to have like all these VHSs, all these like fucked up videos of them. I've got a stack like this big of Green Hornet comics. Like I love Green Hornet.
What they ended up doing was they called in Judo Gene LaBelle to come in and kind of, humble Bruce Lee kind of, because they said that, okay, we got this guy, this actor, and, he's been kind of disrespectful towards our stuntmen, kind of come in here and show him. If you know anything about Gene LaBelle, he's a world-class wrestler, judo, one of the legends. He trained with Bruce after the fact. They became very good friends, legendary. And I feel like that scene from Once Upon a Time in Hollywood kind of portrays what that situation was, because they said that Gene LaBelle ended up coming to the Green Hornet set and he got into a little confrontation with Lee, and he ended up like kind of putting him into a fireman's carry and just carrying him around the room. So it wasn't like as crazy as him throwing Bruce Lee into a car or anything like that. But the basis of the story, I think, comes from that incident. And it was more of a thing where they were kind of trying to humble Bruce Lee, but at the same time, they're looking at it as like, who's this fucking guy? He's not even the lead on the Green Hornet. He's breaking into Hollywood, so he's not like, he doesn't have the stroke that he does in the 70s. So they're kind of like, who the hell is this guy hitting our guys? So they kind of want to put him in his place. But at the same time, I feel like Bruce is trying to, make a statement. He's trying to show that martial arts are to be taken more seriously, because a lot of the stuff that most people saw before, the 70s was like wuxia and that type of Japanese fantasy stuff where, kind of like Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, where a lot of people are floating around in the air, flying and doing all kinds of stuff. So martial arts didn't really have that respect that it deserved yet. And I feel like Bruce was like, I wanted to bring that to the forefront. So he took it more serious. It wasn't going to be like, the campy stuff, like the Batman TV series where it's like, they throw a punch and it's like pow. And obviously he's not even coming close to hitting the actor or anything like that. I think Bruce wanted to make it as realistic as possible. And it wasn't that he was trying to be disrespectful to the stuntmen, but he was trying to give a little bit more respect to his culture and to from what he was coming from, and trying to prove himself, like I said. So I think it's just a big misunderstanding, that whole situation there. And, who knows?
Yeah, I actually watched an interview with some guys, and they were saying, like, a lot of people were saying that Bruce would disrespect people, but a lot of the stuntmen that he actually would hit or fuck with was because they challenged him, saying he really didn't know martial arts and he was just an actor.
Right.
Yeah, I think
so then he would put him in check real quick. But if he actually put him in the hospital or something, he'd always pay their fucking hospital bills and shit.
It really seems like it's just a big misunderstanding when it comes to those situations. Because it's like, go ahead.
We'll never know unless we were there, pretty much. It's one of those things.
Like I said, back when he was in the Green Hornet, he didn't really have any stroke. Now, if he would have been doing that shit like 10 years later, people would have been loving it. It's like kind of like Steven Seagal or Jackie Chan or any of these guys. If you're an extra or you're stuntman on one of their films and you're getting hit by them, you're not sitting there like thinking like, oh, what an asshole. Most people are going to be like, hell yeah, fucking Steven Seagal or Jackie Chan or Jet Li just kicked me. They kind of wear it as a badge of honor.
Yeah.
They wear it as a badge of honor, as opposed to those guys back then, where they're like, "Who the fuck is this guy?" So it was just a different time, and people looked at it the wrong way. Because 10 years later, people would have been begging Bruce Lee to kick them in the face. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. And if you're driving around town in a Ferrari or a Lamborghini, every motherfucker wants to race you.
Sure.
And it's kind of the same thing. But like you said, I don't think we'll ever really know for sure. We're just seeing different stories from. What do they say? There's one point of view, a second point of view.
I mean, you'll hear like interviews with like 4 people that were at the same function, and all 4 stories are different.
Yeah. So,
like, I mean, it's just like based on their perception of what happened. Like, even like I think they said his daughter was telling a story one time about shit that happened on Enter the Dragon. Whenever she was on set, she was 3. So, like, I don't think she would fucking really remember. I don't remember shit.
No. Like
I would rather remember the Bruce Lee that was in this movie than tarnish the legacy.
There's so many good things with this fucking movie. There's so many good scenes in this movie too.
The iconic mirror scene at the end.
That's one that, like, as a kid, that anytime I went to a fun house, I always thought of that movie.
Yep. Always. Did you ever do the poses when you were in the fun house?
Probably.
Yeah.
I would say I probably did, because I was that kind of kid.
Yeah. Me too.
But you know, like the scenes where where dude fucking folds the one dude up and just like
Bolo.
That was brutal.
He just drops
the guy up.
Yeah.
What's great is Bolo got his acting name from that movie. Like his real name Yang Z.
Yang Z, yeah.
No shit.
And then once he was Bolo Young in that movie, he just kept it for everything else he did.
Yep.
And
the only thing he was really known for back then really was being the Chinese Hercules.
I mean, nobody looked like that on screen back then. Nobody. Arnold wasn't on the scene yet. Nobody. If the main character was strong, it was because the script said they were strong.
Yeah.
These people were really strong. I mean, Bruce Lee and Bolo both. Bruce Lee was just insane. Like,
Bruce saw videos of Bolo and was like, we need to get him on this movie.
Yeah, for sure.
And then he was supposed to actually bring him back to America to do more movies in America, but then he passed away.
Because he would have been a huge action
and
star.
then he took like a 20-year hiatus from acting, pretty much, until he came back in. And
yep.
Bolo's the only one that's still alive. At everyone.
Yeah, because Jim Kelly's gone.
Jim Kelly's been gone. What's his face? Wall that played O'Hara. He just passed away not too long ago. So
yeah, I think Jim passed away back in 2014. I think cancer. But he owned a dojo in Hollywood, I believe, and a lot of actors would come through, and it was kind of this give and take with him. That's how he got movie roles, but it worked.
I think this is
he was a strong motherfucker too.
Hell yeah.
I think that the character is Han. Mm-hmm. He is probably one of the creepiest fucking like villains.
Such a great bad guy. So great.
As a kid, he always freaked me out.
Mm-hmm.
There was something about even now.
Why would you say that?
Wow.
I don't know what would you make you think that he is creepy.
That's what I told Dave. I was like, I should make a fucking
weird.
glove.
It's so weird. We're all like on like a high
but I wanted to do something crazy and do like a box with like some like half bananas like hanging off of it or something.
but banana hand. But yeah, I mean,
I'll give her a real Rogering.
I remember as a kid watching that chick like watching her walk on John Saxon's back. I was like, why would you do that? And then I got older and I was like, that's why you do that.
It's Louise Jefferson right there.
That was one of the first.
Great reference.
What is it?
Louise Jefferson from the Jeffersons. She used to always walk on the back.
Walking his back.
Oh, okay. I haven't watched. I've watched a lot of it, but it's been years since that show. But like this was one of those movies that it was rated R, and me and my friends were like, "Is there any titties?" And there's a couple of scenes that are okay that I pushed pause on a few times in my day. But yeah. Honestly, there's so many good fight scenes in this fucking movie. But when it comes down to it, the mirror scene is one of the most iconic scenes, though. You've seen it in other movies, people watching it, or it's referenced in some other movie or whatever. Like you always know what movie you're watching if that comes on. Like it's like which one is this? Oh, I gotta take out the claw and the fucking mirrors and shit. Creepy bastard.
Such a good fucking film.
And going back to Han, he just gives off that vibe of a James Bond villain.
Yes,
right.
Totally.
Dr. No. That's what I always felt like. Him and Dr. No shared a lot of similarities, and it's cool because like James Bond, that was probably like 10 years or so beforehand, and especially with Hollywood trying to introduce martial arts films to an American audience, they kind of want to incorporate that kind of stuff where people were familiar with James Bond and those sort of things. So they were using those kind of techniques to kind of push that and get it over with the American audience, I think. And I think it worked.
Yes, I think it worked too. Again, with that spy thriller element, it was such a good balance. And the fight scenes, you had those great POV shots where they were coming at you, slow motion. I mean, Bruce Lee, I think you said he was so fast that they had to actually slow the footage down because his kicks were too fast. The camera wouldn't pick them up.
Yeah.
That is just inhuman. It's just unbelievable.
He was inhuman.
What's funny going back to the Han thing was fucking like Han spoke no English, like the guy that played Han.
Right.
And then whenever they did his dub stuff, the guy that played Master Po in Kung Fu actually dubbed Han's voice, which is strange too, since that's the show that Bruce Lee didn't get because he lost out to David Carradine.
Yep.
It's just so crazy how things work out.
Yeah, it's really kind of stupid. I remember watching Dragon when I was a kid, getting really pissed off watching that. But man, that's really dumb. Could you imagine if Kung Fu was actually like, if they actually did have Bruce Lee in it? The thing that sucked about that was the fact that he was too Chinese for it.
Yeah.
Like, what the ever living shit?
I'm just glad that Bruce got him to change the original titles because it's supposed to be Blood and Steel was one of the options, and then Han's Island. I think there was another one too, but I forget what it is off the top of my head.
Yeah, Kung Fu.
Thank God that lucky for all of us, they changed it. Enter the Dragon.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Blood and Steel.
I was going back and watching it like again the other day. I was cracking up like that one scene with all them fucking little henchman dudes jump John Saxon in the woods. The one dude in there is Pat Johnson, who is the referee in the Karate Kid, because he was a student of Chuck Norris's.
Sam Ho Hung, he was on Walker Texas Ranger with Chuck Norris, right?
Yeah.
What was his name?
Sammo Hung. He's one of Jackie Chan's buddies. He was the dude he was sparring with in the beginning whenever he's wearing the little black underwears.
Yeah, the opening scene.
Black underwears.
I think that's the part in the film that Chuck was talking about that he paused. He was referencing earlier. No? What? What do you want from me?
Nothing.
Well, that's great. Yep. I mean, iconic villains, iconic scenes. I can't put it over this movie enough.
The Kung Fu James Bond.
Yeah, Kung Fu James Bond.
That's perfect.
Again,
the movie honestly has. The movie is like it screams like your dad's favorite movie all over. You know what I mean? Like it's got action, it's got titties, it's got bad villains, it's got. I mean, dude, the fucking fight scenes are phenomenal in this fucking movie. Like
I remember watching this movie many times growing up. I always ended up watching this one and then The Way of the Dragon because of Chuck Norris being in it.
And Big Trouble in Little China. But you see so many, when going back and watching this movie now, I like so many movies I've seen. Like I said, like the characters from Street Fighter, Mortal Kombat, the storylines. You see like so many. I mean, did this movie influence more people than Star Wars did? Maybe. It's just crazy.
The Mortal Kombat the movie is just
pretty much
the exact same thing here, where they get on a boat and they go to an island for a tournament. I mean,
they just added a couple characters. They just added Jean-Claude Van Damme and Lightning from Big Trouble in Little China.
I mean, because like Kickboxer and Bloodsport were also like very similar. Like I know, like loosely based on like real shit, or whatever. But I mean, like they all had that same kind of theme, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But I never thought about that about Mortal Kombat before, though. Yeah, it does make sense.
Oh yeah.
Even from the 1995 movie, that like when they're going up the stairs, they have all their suitcases. It harkens back to everything. Oh, I love that movie. I might go back and watch that tonight, right?
Maybe.
There's the next one. But I mean, this film, the action, everything is so amazing. But overall, you know, what it did for Asian Americans and the Asian community and martial arts in general speaks even more volumes than the action sequences and everything that we enjoy as eye candy. Because you know it's like that's what I feel like. That's why it's one of the films in the Library of Congress, because it's one of those ones where it's like you got Jim Kelly, you got John Saxon, and you got Bruce Lee. 3 different men, 3 different races from different parts of life, you know, and you know they're in harmony, working together against this evil organization of Hans. And you know it's just a great story, and yeah.
And they all get their time. I mean, even though it put Bruce Lee over, but everybody got their time.
Sure.
You know, John Saxon, it was good to see him kicking ass. Oh,
he's a real
John Saxon.
Yeah, like he actually learned from Bruce Lee there for a little while.
You know, John Saxon's been in some like pretty heavy movies. I mean, like when it comes down to heavy hitters, Enter the Dragon, Black Christmas, Nightmare on Elm Street, Nightmare on Elm Street 3,
New Nightmare.
Yeah. We all know where he got stuck, but but you know
he did a lot of foreign films. He did westerns, horror. I mean, he had like he was a teen idol, I think, back in the 50s.
He was in over like 200 movies, I think.
Yeah. I think he did foreign films for like 10, 20 years or something. He was over there for a long time. France and Italy, I think.
He's one of those. He's one of those that when Nightmare on Elm Street came out, he got really completely pigeonholed. I mean, he's always been kind of. I mean, he's always a cop. And every fucking thing I've ever seen him, he's been a cop. You know, my New Nightmare. Okay, he's an actor, but everything else, he's a cop. Like. He also just gave off that persona of that kind of detective at that time period. You know what I mean? Like the you know.
And I don't know if it's true or not. If it is, it's astonishing that John filmed all his scenes in 8 days.
Yeah.
For Enter the Dragon. In a week? He's done a lot of scenes in that movie. A lot of choreographed scenes too. I don't know if that's true or not, but that's what I saw. And they filmed the whole thing in Hong Kong, and over there, one of their practices was you couldn't add sound. So every sound effect, all the dubbing, everything was done in post-production. What a pain in the ass that must have been. Good Lord.
Yeah, I couldn't imagine.
I think in the original version, it was supposed to be Roper who ended up dying instead of Williams.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
And I think John Saxon's agent had complained to him at the time in the studio saying, look, you know, he needs more screen time. And they ended up giving it to him. And so they ended up killing off Williams first.
Right.
You could argue. Good call or not.
Because I don't think Jim Kelly was supposed to even be in the movie either. It was supposed to be Rocky Tarkington or something like that. He was another martial artist. And then for some reason, I guess him and Bruce had some beef, so he didn't make it.
Yeah. So,
who even knows? My gosh. Should we keep going?
Yeah.
Okay.
Of course.
Spout out some more fun facts. I'm having fun. Baby, it's Enter the Dragon.
Well, Tom.
What I get to deal with all the time.
Okay, so what were your guys' first introduction to Bruce Lee? Do you remember?
Like the first movie he did, or whatever?
Was it this one, or was it something else?
It was this one for me. Mm-hmm.
I don't really remember. But I think I said I remember watching this a lot and Way of the Dragon when I was younger, but I don't remember which one I've actually seen first.
Yeah, because of course this comes out in '73. I'm not even born yet.
Right.
I probably don't even watch it until 15 years later.
Mm-hmm.
Well, see, because I saw I remember seeing The Last Dragon first, and I thought that's what I was about to watch too, and then I turned on and Enter the Dragon, and it wasn't The Last Dragon at all.
Right. And it kind of confused you if you didn't know anything, especially back in the day, because it was like you got Way of the Dragon, you got Enter the Dragon. It almost seems like they're like sequels or something to each other.
Right.
But they're not,
Yeah, Way of the Dragon came out first, like way before.
Oh, of course.
Enter the Dragon, I want to say it was my first introduction. And then just kind of went backwards.
I think Game of Death was the one for me.
Oh, maybe it was. Maybe it was Game of Death.
Because that's like I said, it's been so long, but that's the one that stuck out in my head. Like I feel like that's the initial one because that's the one that is most prevalent in my memory. And just seeing him in that yellow jumpsuit, and the thing that always appealed to me with Game of Death, being younger, was that it seemed like it was a video game where he would have to beat the bosses on each level. Right. So I was like,
the Kung Fu game.
Yeah. It was like, this is like a real life video game. And I was like, this is a shit. And then the second thing that sticks out to me is from Way of the Dragon, of course, the scene with him and Chuck Norris at the Coliseum.
Mm-hmm.
Those were the two things that stuck out to me the most.
Was that when he kills Chuck Norris at the end of it?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Thanks for ruining it.
Spoiler.
What's funny too, though.
We have spoilers on the show.
What's funny too, though, was like they said in Kill Bill, that's why Quentin dressed her in yellow because
it was just like
for Game of Death, and then he made all the crazy 88s dressed like all the villains and Enter the Dragon.
I don't remember.
Who was the basketball player in Game of Death?
Kareem
Abdul-Jabbar.
Who was actually,
and that was another thing. Go ahead.
He was actually a student of Bruce Lee too.
Yeah.
No, yeah, he was a student of Bruce Lee's, and that visual, being a kid, it's like you see Kareem next to Bruce Lee, and it's just an amazing visual. It's kind of like whenever you saw Hulk Hogan and Andre the Giant, just certain things when you were a kid that you just stick out in your mind, like it's burnt in your memory forever. And it was just like Kareem right next to Bruce Lee. Whenever he kicks Bruce Lee, and that footprint is on the chest. Oh my gosh, such good stuff, man.
See, that always reminded me too of that dude from Street Fighter, the real tall, lanky dude that had like the real long reach, like that.
Shoot, what was his name? Shit, that's gonna bug me now.
But it always reminded me of that. Like if you were fighting him and shit, because you could never fucking get at him.
Yep.
I just drew a blank. I can't think of any of the Street Fighter names. Thanks, Chad.
You're welcome. On that note,
that film,
Yeah, we had a local channel here that used to play Kung Fu movie. They played the Kung Fu TV show. They played Big Trouble in Little China all the time, and they played Game of Death and Enter the Dragon a lot. So I don't remember for sure which one I saw first.
Thinking about it, it might have been Game of Death that I saw first.
Yeah, Game of Death ended up coming out in '78, and of course, they filmed it in '72,
right?
And he had left of Death to come film Enter the Dragon, and that's why they had to go back and end up filming new scenes for Game of Death to try to finish it off because he had passed away. They never got to finish it properly. So
I hadn't even thought about that because I Enter the Dragon. I'm going to say Enter the Dragon was, but Game of Death was like pretty close next to it, just because I remember Kareem, right? And all that shit. Not a sports guy. And some of that kind of bled into like what I remember of like Enter the Dragon, I guess a little bit.
Yeah, I think they all kind of bled together.
And those two films though, like, are pretty much identical together. Like not like not story wise, but just popularized. Wise mainly because of the iconic yellow outfit with the black stripes.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then, like I said, you got the scene with him and Chuck Norris at the Coliseum. Fuck, man. One of the best fight scenes in history.
It really is.
because they're really at the Coliseum, and they had said that it's illegal to film in the Coliseum. Like the government over there won't allow anybody to film there. I don't know if that's still the case, but back then it was the case, and they ended up having to bribe some police people for them to sneak on and just film a short sequence between him and Chuck Norris to get that footage. And then the rest of it, they ended up finishing on a set somewhere. I don't know where it was, Hollywood or somewhere in Hong Kong or whatever. But yeah, just the whole idea of these two amazing fighters in the fucking Coliseum going at it. Like, oh my God, can you imagine being on set for that? Holy shit.
I would love to see Chuck Norris get his ass beat more. I would love to see that. I would love to see him get killed in more movies. That would be great. Or just in real life. It doesn't matter to me.
Well, there was like this old interview that popped up whenever I was going through on YouTube and shit, looking at shit. And it was shortly after that came out, and they were interviewing Chuck Norris, and they're like, "How fast is Bruce?" And he was like, "Fast." They're like, "Who won?" He said, "I won't answer that."
So not me.
Nope.
Yeah. I hate Chuck Norris. God, he's so annoying.
Why you hate Chuck Norris?
He just annoys the fuck out of me.
Not a double.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I've got an Invasion USA right over here, and it's in my to get rid of file. Like I never could. I think the only movie that Chuck Norris ever did that I liked halfway when I was a kid was like Sidekicks. Like other than that, I don't.
Fucking Joe Piscopo. Whatever happened to Joe Piscopo? He went missing.
Probably. He's out with Randy Quaid somewhere.
Oh God.
Them two and Pauly Shore get together. It's a fucking riot fest.
Oh God.
What a nightmare scenario.
Burn that building. Save the other two, but Pauly Shore leave them in the fire.
What was the infomercial Chuck Norris was always in? What was he selling? It was that Jim.
Yeah.
No,
it was what was that? What was that commercial he was always in? He was in like some
was it
exercise. Yeah.
Was it a Bowflex?
It was like a boat. Yeah, I think it was.
No, it was Total Gym.
Oh, Total Gym.
Total Gym. Okay.
Yeah,
it was something like that.
Yeah. He actually had a karate school here where we're at too. One like down on Virginia Avenue. That was that
I remember that.
That was a Chuck Norris karate school.
No, it wasn't.
Yeah.
You're bullshit.
No, I used to go there whenever I was a kid.
Chuck Norris just reminds me of I don't know, like that real stern father, but like he keeps his composure. But he's like, well, "Look, you're gonna do what I say, or I'm gonna hurt you." I don't know. I never took him seriously. I just thought he was always fun. I mean, God, I know he knows what he's doing, whatever the fuck, whatever. But God, Walker, Texas Ranger. What a horrible fucking show. Horrible show. Now, it's a lot better than, any show that JB would watch. Because he's a big fan of Hercules. Yeah, he likes Hercules.
Shit.
I fucking hate Kevin Sorbo. And I fucking hate Hercules. We argue about it all the time on Tulsa podcast. But yeah, no, it wasn't good. It wasn't that
me
great.
and him got into it one night after one of our shows, and me and him were kind of double teaming on you about Kevin Sorbo.
Can you never say double teaming on me again?
As soon as I said it, I regretted it immediately.
I'm going to take a pee. I'll be right back, guys.
Walker, Texas Ranger used to come on before wrestling, though, I remember.
Yeah.
See how we come full circle?
Full circle, man.
You really did make him leave. That's fucked up. But the image that always sticks, until you said the yellow suit, I was going to say, like, the image that sticks out of my head is in the mirror when he's all scratched up.
Oh, man, such a badass dude. Everything he does in this film is so calculated. Like, whenever Han cuts him, in the fight scene, and he cuts him across the chest, and then Bruce, takes his hand and takes the blood and then tastes it.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like everything about him in this film is so badass. And oh my gosh,
it's like, buckle up, motherfuckers. It's about to get real.
You like, at no point in this film do you think that he's in any imminent danger or anything like that. You're just like, he's there to fuck you all up. Yeah. Like, you guys are just fucked. Like, get the fuck off the island.
It's like you feel bad. You feel bad for 100 bodyguards before you feel bad for one man.
Like those bodyguards, man, they were just doing their jobs and shit.
Yeah.
You said he really got bit by the snake.
Yeah. Whenever he was filming that scene with the cobra, it actually really bit him. And then luckily, like the venom sacs got taken out, so he was okay.
We almost lost him.
And then when like in the one scene in the fucking they were fighting, what the fuck's that guy's name again? The guy with the scar. Whenever he breaks the bottles or whatever, and he goes to stab Bruce Lee with the bottle. Like Bruce was like, "Come at me full face," and he fucking comes at him, and he ended up cutting his hand open.
Yeah.
And then they had to fucking get medical attention on that shit on set.
See, that's how they did movies. None of this CGI bullshit. This is how they made movies back then.
Yeah, man.
And what about the infamous guillotine scene with the cat?
I did not care for that.
We put that on every week he came over here, and I was like, "Do you see this part yet?" And he was like, "With what?" And I was like, "The cat where he puts him in the guillotine." He's like, "No, I don't want to see that."
Yeah, I was like, I must have got up to order food or take a piss or something during the scene, and he was like, "Well, we'll watch it." And I was like, "I don't want to watch that."
Few people are truly ruthless.
Don't worry, the cat doesn't die.
No.
John Saxon saves his cat.
That must have been your last life, huh?
You said you got 8 more.
Yeah, you got 8 more.
Oh, that's what it was. Yeah.
And it wasn't even a real guillotine. Surprise. Takes you down
in that scene because you see that cat sitting in there and he's all like relaxed and chill looking. He's got like all this fucking like food on his face.
Because he's just like,
It's like they worked with an animal too.
These fucking
make this movie. Jeez,
these cat actors.
Fuck yeah.
Bunch of pussies.
But then they go down into Han's lair and he shows Roper the whole operation and to get him to get on board. You think that Roper's actually going to go for it because he's got gambling debts and all this shit,
right?
And he's like, nah, drugs don't seem that bad. Prostitutes, not that bad either.
Wait,
and it's like, you got slaves in here, just like fucking locked up, and then it's like, oh. What the fuck did you do to Williams? It's like, nope, that's it.
Yeah,
and that whole thing.
John Saxon even asked him, he's like, Shanghai.
Yeah.
And like, no, these are just wandering men or
a bunch of drunk men that don't care where they end up at the end of the day or something like that.
Yeah, when this movie gets brutal, it's actually pretty brutal. Like we talked for a minute about those Bolo breaking that guy's back and that sadistic look, that fucking look on his face that I can't do it at all. But
nobody can.
Only Bolo can have that fucking
only Bolo.
Everybody else is like Nick Cage and fucking Face Off when he's like, I'm Castor Troy.
I wonder if that's he was going for. See, now I'm picturing the look on his face and I'm wondering if he was trying to copy Bolo. Thanks for putting that in my fucking brain.
You're welcome.
And then Williams gets dipped in the acid.
Yeah, God, it's just so brutal. I want to see this movie for the first time. It was like the first time I saw RoboCop when I was a kid, and the guy gets blown away at the beginning of the movie. You're just like, holy fucking shit.
Yeah.
I just like that scene whenever he's walking through, and Han and John Saxon are walking through that room to go towards the guillotine, and you fucking see all the different hands.
Yeah.
And like the center's leg. And then like the very last one's like just a bone. He's like, what's that?
The real hand.
Yeah.
Yeah. Souvenir is what he says.
Yeah. I think that is what he says. Yeah.
Yeah.
Bit of foreshadowing there. It's like, he's going to put on one of those hands.
But I mean, how the fuck do you not realize it? Because I mean, he's walking around with like some kind of metal hand. I mean, I don't know. You would have had to have seen it at some point. You realize this guy doesn't have his left hand is gone. And then
because he's usually petting the cat with it the whole time.
Yeah.
All right.
So you never see it move. But
I
was cracking up earlier though. Whenever he puts the bear claw on, and he fucking slashes that dude in the face, and he turns around, and he's like, "Ah!"
Best reaction ever. I'm gonna have to pull that clip. Play that shit over and over again.
I was hoping we had some clips tonight.
Oh, we got one.
I would say
you do?
clips are kind of sketchy.
Sometimes. Yeah, I know.
It's when we do good movies. It's so frustrating. I hate copyright claims bullshit. Because we could, like, when we do good movies like we did this week and last week we did Dick Tracy. God, there was so many clips. Oh God, we could set and watch them all night.
Yep.
And not just Enter the Dragon. We could have thrown Game of Death and all those scenes in there too, just for shits and giggles. But
Mike actually went to Seattle to see Bruce Lee's grave.
I did. It was actually right when COVID started, and because like COVID became a thing like 2 weeks later. And one of the I think the very first case that got reported in the United States happened in Seattle. So I just flew out there,
right,
and they're like, oh yeah, the first case in the United States in Seattle. I'm like, great, here it is. I'm out. And it just seemed like everything was fucked because I flew out there.
Great.
It was like as soon as I landed, fucking Kobe Bryant died. Like I remember going to get my rental car, and they're like, "Yep, Kobe Bryant just died in a plane crash." And I'm like, "What?" And they're like, "Oh, fucking first reported case of COVID in the United States." I was like,
"Oh, pussy's illegal now." Jesus Christ!
I was not supposed to come here.
Yeah, I was like, "All right, fuck it." But yeah, got to go see Bruce Lee's grave. Him and Brandon Lee both buried together in a cemetery. Yep. And here's the shot of the gravesite area, and some asshole standing behind it. And then obviously people come from all around the world to pay tribute and honor to Bruce Lee and the founder of Jeet Kune Do. An amazing man. Fucking such a shame that we were robbed of him at such a young age. But yeah, his work lives on forever.
Yeah. Is that because I know everybody let everything on Bruce's stuff, but what about on Brandon Lee's stuff? Like, was there a lot of people that left a lot of stuff on his stuff too?
Oh yeah. Yeah, both graves. They just have all kinds of different. A lot of people. I go to a lot of grave sites, and the thing that I see the most are coins. People leave coins there as a, yeah. I do a little grave robbing from time to time, but no.
I travel. No one knows.
But no, like I said, a lot of times I see people leave coins behind, as you know. I had mentioned before in another episode, people believe that, you know, you pay the ferryman on your way to the next life. Yep. And a lot of people leave those as tributes and whatever. But yeah, fucking everybody loves Bruce Lee. And of course, it's based in Seattle. He's buried there because that's where he lived. He moved back there whenever he came from Hong Kong. He went to college out that way. He was born in San Francisco. Ended up growing up in Hong Kong, and then came back to the United States, went to college up in that area, and just loved Seattle. Opened up one of his dojos up there, and yeah, that was a home to him.
You know those videos they have on YouTube where people go to different places, different graves, different abandoned houses and stuff.
Yeah,
there's one I watched. They went to Bruce Lee's abandoned home. I can't remember where it was at, but yeah, it was one of the places he lived with his family, like when he was older and stuff. And it's just kind of weird. It's like some of these abandoned places, especially that. I was like, man, like, because they went in and it was like it was kind of trashed and whatever and stuff. But it's just like, man, you know, you think a place like that, if nobody's gonna buy it, like preserve it a little bit or something.
You know, you always a tourist attraction.
Yeah, like I don't get that shit.
I think there's a lot of those where I think it's just a bunch of staged bullshit. Like it's not really somebody's mansion. It's just some mansion they found, and they're like, "Oh, this is so and so's mansion." Because half the time it's like there's weird shit in there. Like,
well, they
I
can't
remember when I just saw recently.
So I mean, because I mean, it even had there was like things in there that like pointed to that it was Bruce Lee's place. So. Like there was like pictures and shit behind. You were talking about, you know, we were robbed of Bruce Lee and stuff, but of course, like talk about Brandon Lee's grave right next to him. We really got robbed of him. You know, 'cause I know this isn't a Brandon Lee episode on him, but the dude was fucking cool. I mean, you know, was it Shakedown Little Tokyo or was it Showdown Little Tokyo? You know, Dolph Lundgren, which had some of the weirdest fucking moments, like which we talked about. I think we discussed that on our Dolph Lundgren episode.
I just picture that whole scene in my head again.
where he's smiling and Dolph. Yeah, whatever. We won't go into that. But,
You have the most beautiful penis I've ever seen on a man.
like, what the fuck? I don't know who fucking said that was a funny thing to write. Anyway, but like, Rapid Fire was a great action film, and The Crow, obviously. His career, dude. Like, if he hadn't gotten killed, of course, the curse, which the whole family.
What I actually found out too was apparently Brad Pitt was kind of sketchy about doing that Bruce Lee scene in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood because him and Brandon Lee were really good friends. And then him and Brandon Lee like spent like a few months together before he went to go film The Crow, and he's like, I never saw him after that.
I didn't know that shit. Wow. That would be kind of a fucked up thing to do. I mean, like if they were buddies and shit.
Right.
Could you imagine hanging out with like Brandon Lee and Brad Pitt at that time?
What the hell?
Because Brandon Lee didn't live like his dad lived. Brandon Lee smoked cigarettes, like he partied a little bit, like
Sure. Well, I mean, it seemed like Bruce partied a little bit.
Yeah. Well, Bruce was the same way. He would just fucking
they found high doses of hash in his stomach whenever they did his autopsy.
Oh, really? Okay. Well, whatever.
He used it for his back issues. He used it for pain medication because of his culture is like totally different.
That's true. Yeah.
He used it for medication, not like just a party. But I mean, I'm sure eventually it turned into just partying.
Yeah.
It's all thanks to James Coburn, apparently, who got him hooked on some cocaine there for a hot minute.
Could you imagine being around Bruce Lee when he was all fucked up on cocaine?
Like coke,
No,
like
thank you.
Bruce Lee, all cocaine. I can't. Like he'd be climbing buildings like fucking King Kong.
He was.
Bruce, can you stop hitting the wall? It's not fighting you back.
Like Jesus, I can't imagine.
I think I saw some interview with Coburn where he was saying something like that they were just hanging out, and the thing that sold him on Bruce Lee was Bruce was like, I have this 1-inch punch. Let me show you. And he was like, okay, and he did it, and it knocked Coburn like back against like 5 feet back, and he was like, all right, let's go to work, and that's what sold it on working with him. Like, fucking this guy.
I saw that same one. He's like, next thing I know, I'm over at his house watching him kick a 700-pound punching bag, and it's hitting the ceiling.
Yeah.
He's like, I couldn't even move it.
Do you remember the comic books they had out for a little while back in the day? They had Bruce Lee comic books out. I can't remember who put them out. Man, it might have been Vertigo. I could be wrong on that. But they used to have like weird ass like Bruce Lee comic books out. I only like I remember having one of them, and then seeing a bunch of different ones. But it was like I have to go back and see if I can find those again. But
are they any good?
They were weird because it was basically, if I remember correctly, it was the Bruce Lee from Enter the Dragon, still with the slices on him. The famous slices in the face and the chest.
Yeah.
But like in every issue, he looked the same, and he was like, I don't know, it was weird. It was like kind of a parody, but not a Bruce Lee. But I can't remember. I'm gonna have to look that shit up. That was always kind of weird. I actually have. Damn, I have to look for that now later.
He must have had a palate issue and he couldn't clot up, so he's never healed.
Well, I know that a couple of the issues of Green Hornet that I have, because I've got a couple of the offshoot Kato comics too.
Platelet.
You're right.
Okay.
Just go with it. No one knows. Everyone just agrees, Chad. We all know what he's talking about.
I like to be sure.
Right. But
Anyway, doesn't matter.
The Lee legacy, man, like has just it lives on and lives on and lives on. I mean, there's at some point in time, my kid's just a little older. Like, Enter the Dragon, it'll probably be one of his favorites too. Like we also do you remember what the fuck was in that show? Because Brandon Lee's sister was on what the fuck? It was a fighting show, but it was staged. It was like wrestling, but with karate, and she was the main host of the show. Oh fuck! Can somebody look that up real quick? What that show was called? because
a fighting show hosted by Shannon Lee.
Yeah,
Warrior.
It was just called Warrior.
That's
it was
that.
Something.
I think that's that show on HBO Max, right?
Is it?
This was when I was little.
Because I know she had something to do with that, and then she did some other Chinese soap opera thing about Bruce Lee's life.
WMAC Masters.
What was it? What was it?
Masters.
WMAC Masters.
Yeah, it was. They had it was kind of like Mortal Kombat, but it was a TV show. I'm pretty sure that sounds about right. But it was like there was these different components. There was different people. They had their own characters. It was all kind of like wrestling. Like they were all their characters. You know what I mean? And they would get chosen for this. And there was a little bit of drama. But she was the main host of it. Like she would come over this big screen and be like, "Okay, guys, like whatever the fuck." And I remember as a kid watching it, and when I found out that she was who she was, and I was like, "Oh shit, all right." And I used to watch it. It was like came on like every Saturday afternoon or some shit.
Scare Tactics.
No.
American Gladiators.
Yeah, it sounds like a weird hybrid of American Gladiators meets.
It was the original. What was it called? American Ninja or some shit.
Was it the Warriors one?
Masters. I'm looking at
Masters. That's what it is. Yeah.
WMAC Masters. I don't know what WMAC
Warriors is a martial arts type show on HBO Max, and it has the one of the dudes from Bullet Train in it. The one.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's why
it looks
like a terrible name.
So am I the only one that remembers that show though?
I guess so. I don't remember this at all.
Wow.
I was a little bit older when this came out. It said 95 through 96.
Oh yeah.
So
I was
well on my bad influence road by then.
Oh yeah. And
definitely
has
that
home that
Double
years.
Dragon look.
Yeah, totally. That guy's.
Oh yeah. It was cheesy. There was a guy on there that reminded me of Liu Kang. That I always was like.
Liu Kang is based off of Bruce Lee.
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah.
I mean, such a fucking
Enter the Dragon. It has influenced so many movies throughout time. One of the greatest action films of all time. One of the greatest karate films of all time. So memorable scenes, great cast, great story. I mean, when it comes down to movies that aren't horror related, this is probably in my top 15 of all time that are probably just the greatest. Especially after watching this twice in a row the last couple of days, man, it's one of those that if I'm in that mood, I'm grabbing it. Mm-hmm. I watching this movie 2 times in a row made me realize, man, I miss that shit. I miss having the fucking movie nights and shit with my buddy and watching it. So it's always gonna have a good memories to it and stuff. And it's just it's fun. It's not boring at all. There's always something. There's always something going on that you're kind of just intrigued by. And it does, and it also goes along with the fact that I was raised on James Bond films, and it plays out like a James Bond movie with more intense action and real action,
And James Bond is just a fucking badass now that just kicks the shit out of hundreds of henchmen.
Yeah, but I mean, the kind of the fighting like that was done in Enter the Dragon. Compared to what was done, it's just Enter the Dragon. It's such a phenomenal
so good.
film.
It's so good. It gets you so hyped. You went to the bathroom. We were talking about it, but it's just
it got me that hyped. I had to pee.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
No, but fucking Bruce Lee is just the ultimate badass in this, and like we were saying that there's no point in the film where you feel like he's in danger. You feel like everybody else is in danger from him. He's gonna fuck you all up, and this guy is just pure. Yeah, there's nothing you can do. This guy is here. So fucking good. Oh man,
One of the best, man. One of the best of all time. I mean, we all have our favorite action movies. We all have our little things, because we've got our blood sports and our kickboxers and our March for Death and our Under Siege and all these fucking movies. But when it comes down to it, if you want an action movie, if you want a movie that really shows true martial arts, I mean, come on.
See, now you got to go back and watch all the Shaw Brothers films.
Yep.
I feel like I need to go back and watch a few of them. I feel like I need to do that. Yeah. I'm gonna have to go back and watch Game of Death.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Game of Death.
Yeah,
Yep.
I'm thinking about that too.
Yeah, I might have to put that on after we're done.
You can have a Chia Hulu night.
But yeah, one of the most influential films, not just of the 20th century, but probably of all time.
Look at that cover. Look at that cover.
I
That
know,
is just a
that's
cool
like
ass
so
cover.
iconic.
Really
I
is.
want a shirt with that on it.
That's how they did like movie covers back then too. It was like that artwork. It wasn't just the
Yep.
floating heads like we have fucking now. Like they actually did artwork back then.
Dude,
but if you want to trace everything back to history, it all goes back to Enter the Dragon. I guarantee it.
Man, I remember going to Walmart when I was a kid, and it was like my buddy Andy had got me into Bruce Lee and a lot of different action movies and whatever, Jean-Claude Van Damme and shit. And I remember going with my mom to Walmart before it was like super Walmart and they had like food and everything. It was just clothes and electronics. And in the VHS area, I just said Enter the Dragon, and I hadn't even seen it yet. I just been told about it so much that I was like, I need to buy this movie. And it was rated R, and I'm fucking 12, and I go up to the fucking like the counter and I put the VHS. I had my own money. It was like birthday money or whatever the fuck. And I sit on the counter. The woman just looks at me and just laughs. And my mom walks up behind me and goes, "What are you laughing about? He can buy it if he wants." Of course, they wouldn't go that way these days. And I went home and I called my buddy up. It was the weekend. He came over. We watched that shit, and he was like, "Told you this was like the best movie in the world." And I'm like, "Dude, it's so good." And again, watching it rewatch. That's one of the best things about this show is rewatching shit that just makes me feel good. Like it's fun. When fucking like I'm not gonna lie. Like all right, I have a buzz going on right now, so I'll be perfectly honest. I'm sitting here watching Enter the Dragon earlier, and I'm over here just like trying my best. Yeah. Like I don't know, like just being a kid again. Because I remember watching that shit, just trying to be as just trying to do all those moves and shit. I'm over here almost 39 years old on Friday, and like still like just getting all hyped watching this shit. Like it's God, it's so good. I'm so glad we did this.
Oh man, I remember having like these nunchucks when I was a kid. They were foam padded, whatever.
The dragons on the side of it.
Yep.
I had those,
and it was like I'd just be watching Bruce Lee shit, and I'd be watching Ninja Turtles, fucking Michelangelo, and I'd just be fucking swinging these around like a fucking idiot, thinking I was cool as shit. Like, oh yeah,
I broke so much shit when I was a kid.
Yeah, you just like you just flick it fast, and you think. Because you see Bruce Lee and these guys doing this shit, and you think, "Oh, I could do that!" Like, and you're just flapping it all over the place. You look like a fucking moron, but you when you're a kid, you feel like a badass, and that's what Bruce Lee did. He made you feel like a badass, like living vicariously through him.
You got the words flicking it fast and flapping it all around all in the same sentence.
Yep.
That's
all.
That reminds me of a story of an ex of mine. No, what?
Sounds like health class.
Ew. Oh God. Goddamn images coming into my brain.
I don't really reckon I know.
You have offended my family, and you have offended the Shaolin Temple. Oh, that guy's fucked. Oh my God. Oh, so good. So good, man.
I feel like a Wu-Tang song needs to start right there after you got finished saying that. We got to get you
we gotta get you into some kung fu flicks, Chuck. Man,
Hey,
have you
I'm
seen
open-minded.
have you seen Shogun Assassin?
No.
Oh man, we're gonna get you schooled on
See,
some shit.
See, I've got a few friends and Whitman who I do graveyard talk with. Something we've been talking about is trying to get me watching more like Japanese horror and anime and some shit like that I might dig. So I'm a little more open minded than I was at one point. So throw them at me. If we do them on here, especially, I'll be more prone to watch them because it's like, oh, I have to watch it now. So keep that in mind.
We'll have to
And JB, if you're watching, that doesn't go for you.
They're so good.
So good. This was a lot of fun. I'm a kid again. I like doing
dude, yeah.
Between this and
garbage
Dick,
pail shit. Yeah.
well, no, I fucked up garbage pail.
Fuck garbage pail kids. I like doing good movie. We've done a good movie 2 weeks in a row now, and I'm kind of getting spoiled.
We kind of always do good movies. Just some of them are only good to us.
Garbage pail.
But I
Yeah.
mean, between for
never
us as kids, Dick Tracy and now Enter the Dragon, it
Yeah.
brings you back, man.
It really does. And sometimes, tonight we talked about Enter the. I keep wanting to say Enter Sandman.
Enter the
Enter the Dragon. But we canceled. He's canceled. What the fuck did he just do?
Lars
but,
just had a stroke.
Yeah. There's just some things you can't understand because I'm Lars, and I just yeah, whatever.
Oh my God, that was a good impression.
So the thing is, James. No, I fucking whatever. That's not this episode.
Happy Dino birthday.
What? I don't even know what the fuck I was saying, boys.
Well,
It's all gone
we fuck
now.
you up. That's what we do best. Is we fuck
that's
you up.
what
and
we
you
do.
fun.
That's what we do.
What was I saying? Seriously, what was I saying?
I don't remember it either, actually.
Fuck.
Keep thinking about Enter Sandman.
Yeah. No.
You're-
And Enter the Dragon. I still don't know what the fuck I was going to say, but whatever.
Well, there you have
Cool
it.
story, bro.
Yeah, cool story, bro.
fucking awesome, bro.
But before
Well, dude,
we leave you, we're going to do a few things, and we're going to start
Uh-oh.
with our random clip of the week. And if this is your first time joining us, we do this every week. We pick a random clip from a random movie, and we see what happens. Let's see what we have in store for our 50th episode, Random Clip of the Week.
Are you dead?
Dad?
Frankie.
I love those. That's one of my favorite things about the show is the clip of the week. Never know what the fuck is going to happen.
And what's coming up in a couple days?
On Friday,
No, fuck
it's my birthday.
Yes.
Chuck Nasty turns 49.
39. 39.
39.
49? Do I look that old?
Yes. So everyone wish Chuck Nasty a happy birthday on Friday. And I just want to take this time to recognize.
It's Friday the 13th.
Oh, no, I didn't think about that, too.
Yeah, I was born on January 13th, Friday the 13th, 1984. And this is the first year in a while where my birthday has been on Friday the 13th. So I'm kid free that night, and I'm having people over, and as soon as my kid gets on the bus, in the morning, I'm putting on Friday the 13th, and I'm starting, and then I'm going to pregame a little bit, and then I'm going to take a nap, get my kid off the bus. He's going to go with his mom. My friends are coming over. We're going to get snacks, and then I'm probably not going to remember a lot.
There had better be a camera rolling.
There always is.
Oh, fucking sweet.
But
But
I'll try to see what my broadcast can do.
I do want to take this time to acknowledge that Chuck Nasty has been on every single episode of Video Store Clerks since the beginning. And I just want to say I thank you so much for even doing the show in the first place.
Oh yeah, of course, man.
I knew, like, I hesitated to ask you because I was like, man, he already does 3 podcasts. He's in the band. And if I asked him, he's probably going to say yes. So I'd be kind of a dick for asking. But nobody, I messaged people to come on board this thing and nobody would take me up on it. But you did without hesitation, actually. So I thank you very much for coming on this little journey or whatever this is.
1 year later, 50 episodes later.
Yeah.
We've made it.
Whoever thought we'd go this far?
I just gotta say, I always have fun. I love doing the show. I love having a moment to like hang out with my boys, you know, and talk about fucking movies and you know, cracking up and stuff. Sometimes it gets emotional, but you know that happens sometimes. But yeah, no, I be 39. I don't know how, but I'm gonna be 39 years old, and I'm still fucking doing 4 podcasts. I might be doing a 5th one again, like here soon. And yeah, I just gotta stay busy. Gotta stay busy. So I'm thinking about 39.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I want to go ahead and say congratulations to you guys. I know Dave and Chuck, this is kind of your baby. I know Chad has been here a long time as well. I'm the new guy in town, but I want to say congratulations because there's so many different things I see online where people say most podcasts don't last, you know, more than a handful of episodes or whatever. People usually give up, and you know, you guys didn't. You guys have been rocking it for a whole year. 50 episodes later, here we are. Fucking congrats to you guys. Fucking good work.
Thank you.
Hey, you know, and thank you for being a part of this, young blood.
Thank you for being a friend.
Oh yeah.
When are we going to do a Golden Girls episode?
It's gotta happen.
It's coming.
Oh yeah, here, Chuck.
Oh, look at that
birthday
cupcake.
I don't have a candle, so you're just gonna have to blow into the screen and make a wish. He almost did it. He almost fucking did it. I almost got him.
How'd that do it for you? Hey, yeah, man. Yeah. So yeah. 50 episodes in the dragon. There we go.
And happy birthday. Oh. It didn't explode. I forgot.
Goddamn aluminum balloons.
It's helium, so it just fucking does nothing. There's no explosion. Fuck it. Boom.
Let's throw some CG in there.
We're on a shoestring budget here. God damn it! I got a claw. I made this fucking claw for $1.25 plus tax from Dollar Tree. I took a box. I got a bag of a thing of knives for $1.25 at Dollar Tree, a box and some aluminum foil, and now I got me a Han claw. So kids, go ahead and ask your parents to take you to Dollar Tree, and this Halloween you can be Han.
Canceled. Oh.
What?
Dollar Tree sponsor us.
I love it. No, I think that's fucking awesome. You did that actually. That's fucking cool.
Yeah,
props are always welcome.
So much, Chuck, Chad, and Mike, especially for having my back when I wasn't feeling the greatest. I was in and out of the hospital quite a few times. So, but everyone kept trucking along, and I thank you so much. And we've always gone full steam ahead. Whether we had 10 viewers online or 0, we still got on here. We hung out, we have fun, and we just talk about movies.
Yep.
I forget we're even actually like doing shit. I just think we're just hanging out, talking bullshit, and
right.
Any other fucking day.
Have you went back and listened to the old episodes before we were video?
The old?
No, I'm afraid to. I'm sure they're terrible.
They're hilarious, actually.
They were bad, man.
No, they weren't that bad. They were funny. They were funny though.
Gosh, we were audio only with 4 of us.
Yeah, so we always tripped over each
other.
other.
Always ran over each other. I mean, it was constant. Patrick, he just has a crazy work schedule. He would get up. He gets up at like 3 o'clock.
Yeah,
3 o'clock in the morning.
I forgot that guy.
Yeah, so the later we went, the worse it was. We actually used to go in at 6:30 in the evening when we first started, and just got progressively later. And so Patrick just couldn't do it. It was the same with Andrew. Andrew went back to school. He's doing his music. He's doing good. It just got to be stressful for him. And if I don't want that. I want us all to hang out, have fun.
It's all about fun.
You know, congratulations to even the old school, the ones that aren't with us anymore on the show, for being a part of it, regardless.
I think I came in episode 4, so I've never even met Patrick.
Yeah, I've been trying to get him back, but he's either working or he's on vacation. He stays busy as well.
I remember that the joke was like his wife killed him or some shit and like dumped his body. That was the whole joke.
He hit him with a golf cart, and we haven't heard from him since.
I remember that.
Down in Florida.
I started believing it. I was like, maybe that we should call it. Like, I don't know.
There's a lot of gators down there.
Should somebody check?
Yeah, like doing those check things the cops do. A lot of gators.
Wellness check.
He's
wellness check.
All the old school teams good. We still chat every once in a while.
Occasionally Andrew likes a post here and there.
But he stays busy too. He's doing well. So I thank you again. I thank everyone who ever's watched and listened and tolerated us for a little bit, especially during these late hours. We have a night out crowd, or people check us out later after the next day. We get a lot of hits. So we thank you so much. But before we sign off officially, let's take a look and see what we have in store next week. Can you guess what it is?
I can't remember. All right, Spawn.
Little death, a little destruction. Perfect marriage.
Tell them I'm coming.
Hell yeah.
Next week, Spawn Night. Join us once again. This is the Video Store Clerks Podcast, our 50th episode. We thank you so much. We are your clerks for the night. I'm Dave.
Chad, man.
Mike.
I'm Chuck.
We thank you again so much. We'll see you next